There's only 3 weeks left. That's it. But fantasy playoffs are here. It's the most exciting time of the fantasy season. So if you have any questions about your lineup or you simply just want a second opinion, drop it in the comments. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But that's enough yapping. Week 15 waivers. Let's get into it. Let's kick off the list here with Tim Patrick, a guy that's only owned in 1% of your league, no matter what platform you want to use. But over the last 3 weeks, he is sliding under the radar as a very productive fantasy player. Wide receiver 17 over the last 3 weeks, and he's giving us about 13 fantasy points a game in that stretch. Now, why do we want to pick him up if he's only owned in 1% of leagues? Well, I'll tell you why. Not only is that a great thing, but there's so many weapons in this Detroit offense that he goes under the radar, and defensive coordinators are not planning for Tim Patrick. And that is why he is dominating over the last 3 weeks. They're game planning for Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, these talented running backs, even Jameson Williams. Tim Patrick, that is the reason why he's been very productive. And I think at the bare minimum, if you have a backup kicker, backup defense, grab him and keep him away from your league mates because he might be a sleeping giant here in the fantasy playoffs. Now, let's not forget about this guy. He's also owned in 1% of leagues, but he was on a bye last week. So let's not forget. But Chris Rodriguez is going to be a great and a must pick up here for the fantasy playoff stretch because Austin Ekeler is on IR. Let's not forget that. And he's out for the fantasy season. So Chris Rodriguez is stepping into that Austin Ekeler role. And as we saw 2 weeks ago, he's doing a pretty good job at it. 13 touches for 90 plus yards and a touchdown with 15 fantasy points on the day. 2 weeks ago, right? So again, let's not forget because he was on a bye, but I think it's a two-back system here in Washington, and Rodriguez is going to be that Austin Ekeler going forward. Let's get over to the overall list this week as Russell Wilson remains the top quarterback option to me on waivers because sure, he is owned in more than 50% of leagues, but with some of these quarterbacks coming off of bye, like Lamar, like J.D. Daniels, we might see this go back to the 50% or even lower than that. So if you need a backup quarterback or if you're shaky on who you're starting on a certain week, Russell Wilson should be your top priority throughout the next 3 weeks because this offense is humming when he is at the helm. At the running back position, Chris Rodriguez, we talked about. Kamani Vidal is another guy I could throw out there as a stash option. But Sincere McCormick came out of nowhere in this Vegas backfield and had a really good day last week, of course, in that game. But I'm going to put the ball in your guys' court because 1 week it's Amir Abdullah, 1 week it's Sincere McCormick, and another week it could be me or you. This Vegas backfield is so unpredictable that I'm staying away from it, but because of how productive he was in limited touches last week, I'm going to throw that out there for you guys if you are interested. Receiver position, Christian Watson is the best player on waivers at the moment. He needs to be on your roster, and he's only owned in about 50% of Yahoo leagues. So Yahoo players, go after Christian Watson. Tim Patrick, we talked about. Ray McCloud and Darnell Mooney are this 1-2 punch of underrated wide receivers that are just giving us great production for fantasy output, but real life as well. For the Atlanta Falcons offense, right? This offense throws a lot because they've been down in games a lot. Now, again, I think Kirk Cousins is going to be the quarterback for the remainder of the season unless they are out of playoff contention. So until that point, I think Ray McCloud could be on your roster as a sneaky stash option, just like Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. We've talked about him the last couple of weeks. He's a touchdown machine. Now, he dropped one last week, but again, if he caught that, he would have had 7 straight games with a touchdown. Tight end position. Of course, we have Pat Freiermuth, who is owned in a good portion of leagues, so he might not be there. But if he's not, I like Juwan Johnson. They're only owned in 10 and 13% of leagues. Look, Derek Carr might be down, right, for the next couple of weeks. If he is Spencer Rattler or whoever the quarterback is going to be, they're going to target their tight end, and that is Juwan Johnson, especially now that Taysom Hill is down and out for the year. At the kicker position, I like Jason Myers. He plays Green Bay next week. Should be a high-scoring game. But that's going to do it. If you have any questions about your lineup or you just want a second opinion, look, I've been getting back to you guys all year in the comments, so don't be shy. Drop it in the comments, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can to find out what is the best lineup for the both of us.